Hello, everybody, and welcome to My Music with me, Graham Coath. Today, I'm going to be speaking to Shy. Too Shy, Shy, Hush Hush, I do I. Do you know the song?
I don't know. Sorry.
You don't?
No.
It's a famous song by Kajagoogoo. Go and look it up afterwards. It was the most amazing bass line ever by the wonderful Nick Beggs, who since then has played for just about everybody on the planet. And now plays a lot of the time with his two daughters. But there you go. We will be back to talk music and everything about Shy and her career after this.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
Shy, and you are calling yourself Shy. That is right. I'm getting that right. I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah.
It's just a cool name. Very, very cool name.
Thank you. Thanks.
So when I was looking at interviewing you, I was thinking that name, it immediately came to mind FKA Twigs, because it's that kind of name.
Yeah.
You know, is that it was that as a name an inspiration? Is she as an artist an inspiration to you? Where did the name come from?
I was definitely inspired by, I see a lot of people using, letters in that way in their artist name. But for me, my full name is Shy FLW because I'm Norwegian. So when I first moved to the UK, people found it really hard to pronounce my first name, Sine. So they just called me Flo. So that's kind of what I wanted to use as my artist name. But then there is now a girl group in the UK, R&B music. They're called Flow, capital letters, just like I wanted to do. So I had to change it. And then I messed around a bit with different ideas, and I swapped the O in Flow with a W. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but I need something else as well, because it's still pronounced flow, so it would be very similar to just flow. So I wanted something else as well. And ever since I was little, I've always been very shy. So only only recently, like the last couple years after moving to London, is kind of when I've been able to get out of my shell a bit more and learn how to talk to people and be more confident in myself. So I kind of wanted to take that word shy and use it as a positive thing and kind of change what that word meant to me. So that's how you got Shy FLW.
Oh, I love it. Do you think there are more natural introverts in music than we perhaps assume?
Yeah, definitely. It's just one of those things kind of for a lot of artists to kind of get your audience to notice you. You have to do interviews, all of these different things. It's kind of, for a lot of people, I think, a show that you just put on. So I can relate to that in a sense, but at the same time, like I mentioned, the 2 past years for me I've grown a lot as a person. So I don't necessarily feel that way anymore, but I definitely used to, and I can see how being a creative person, often you have that trait as well with being, a bit shy and introverted.
Now look, you've got a song called Ego Off.
Yeah.
Right. So that, it's a heartfelt apology. Yeah. But also, is there an element to that, given that conversation we just had, is there an element to which you're also alluding to the fact that there's an element with everybody where they need to take their ego off in order to get close to people or to move on?
So for me, in that song, the phrase with like turning my ego off is more in relation to like stop thinking about yourself in this situation, and because that's just what we do as humans, you know, we're very selfish. And it's more about kind of seeing how in this situation, this song, you're kind of hurting the other person by staying in a relationship where, you know, deep inside you kind of know that it's not, this is not the one, but you kind of cling on to it because it's comfortable and it's, you enjoy their company, you know. But it's more about, you know, stop being selfish, think about the other person that you're actually hurting by just dragging this out. Yeah, so an ego off, that is kind of what I mean by that.
I love the fact you've recognized that people are inherently selfish. Do you see that on things like social media? And actually, can you see how you can use that to your benefit?
Being selfish?
No, the fact that people are inherently just interested in themselves.
Hmm. I mean, I think definitely you do see that. It's one of those things, like humans, we do it as a way to get somewhere, you know. In nature, it's to survive. So I guess, yeah, it's also something you kind of have to be as an artist in some ways, you know, to get your vision out there and also to not be like stepped on by other people in the industry. So I can definitely see like both the negative and positive things with it.
One of the things I use that for is the fact that I give that as advice to anybody that's trying to get on in social media, is stop trying to make everything you put out be about you, and actually turn the tables on that, and actually try and find a way of making even your own content about other people. Because I think as soon as you do that, you actually, to some extent, play into other people's ego.
Yeah.
People like
Yeah,
it when
definitely.
you're interested in them. Have you found, in terms of trying to grow a following, etc., if you actually, you know, show the interest in the people that are out there, they then come to you?
Yeah, definitely. And you see that especially with TikTok now as well, like people really engage more with content where it's like your yeah, your focus is on them, as you mentioned. Like that's what they're drawn to because they want to feel like they are important as well. Yeah, so I can definitely see that.
What sort of conversations do you like to be drawn into, in terms of online, but also what sort of conversations do you want your music to start?
Ooh, that's interesting. I think, I mean, I hope I'm giving some type of authenticity. But also like obviously it comes out more, I'd say, in my social media content than you know, ego off specifically, but being yourself, being authentic, maybe like what, like daring to just do what you want, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. With that, talking about daring to do what you want, talk to me a little bit about the last video that you made, because that video doesn't just star you, does it? That video stars someone that's been on here before.
Yeah, it does. So Dahlia is actually my flatmate. And
Ah,
we're also best friends.
wow.
But in the video, she plays my love interest. And I wanted, I mean, first of all, she's my best friend. It's really easy to kind of that connection comes really natural. I don't have to like portray some fake energy, like some fake, you know,
You have a love for each other anyway, so
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But also because I am bisexual, even though I'm in a straight relationship. I kind of wanted my first video to be not necessarily, it's not like a coming out video because people already know, but it's more like I want to show that it's okay, not just to be bi, but also like, my friends, my family, people who know who I am, they also know I have a boyfriend, but that doesn't take away from my bisexuality. And I also just thought it was a nice thing, to me, seeing a video with a girl isn't any different than seeing a video with a boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add that to all the music videos out there, I guess.
If you don't mind talking about that, do you think people still struggle with that, especially if they know that you're in a relationship
Yes,
with a
I
man?
do think some people do. I'm from a small place in Norway, and I live in London. Here it's a lot more normal. I didn't feel comfortable actually identifying as bisexual until after moving to London, because it's more acceptable. And I do think, especially in smaller places, people will question it a bit. They might not even understand it. But yeah, I don't really mind. Me and my boyfriend are very what's the word? Secure in our relationship, and he supports me in what I do and also what I show online. So that's all that matters.
It's a funny one because actually, I mean, in the age that I grew up in, there were a lot of things that and that's not going back that long. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things that you wouldn't talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had particular sexual orientation, or you didn't identify as a particular gender, etc., you'd never talk about that.
Yeah.
You would definitely never talk about that. These days, those things are talked about, and therefore there's seemingly on the surface a general acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, is there almost a problem in the fact that there is kind of a general acceptance, but then under the surface, people are actually still questioning those things, but aren't actually necessarily. Perhaps not everybody's having the conversation because it's kind of like, well, I don't want to ask questions because actually society would tell me that, oh, I'm living in the dark ages here.
Yeah. No, I totally get that, and I think we have to be open on both sides to questions, and as long as someone's open to learning, I don't think really there are any wrong questions.
No, I don't. I think it's all about having conversations with people.
Yeah.
If you don't know, then ask.
Yeah, exactly.
I always go back to children. I think children are great because children just see everything the way they just see it, and they just ask bluntly. So, I mean, my eldest is going out with a they, and the kids will ask questions about it. And I know from myself that you almost kind of feel awkward, but actually we shouldn't feel awkward. It should be that childlike kind of like, well, what does that mean? Why are they they?
Yeah.
Why are we using that terminology? I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Because actually they just want to know. They just want to have an understanding. And if you explore those things and you open up those conversations, then that's good. How do you see your music being influenced in terms of genre, or is it quite fluid genre wise?
I mean, I would say like it's definitely R&B, but then again, R&B is so many things.
Massive these days.
Yeah. So I listen to so much different music as well, even like funk, rock, like musical theater. I used to be a musical theater kid. Like a lot of those things, I think still kind of influences my music, maybe just subconsciously. But
who's ticking your boxes musically? Who's making you excited when you hear it at the moment?
So my biggest inspiration is JoJo. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah.
She started with Leave, Get Out, Too Little, Too Late, and then she was quiet for 10 years.
Ages.
Yeah. And then she came back.
She had a big hat, didn't she? She had a big hat at one point.
Yeah. She came back in 2016. She's released some great albums. Personally, I think it's some of the best R&B music out there. Unfortunately, she's kind of slept on. Her new music isn't really doing what I think it deserves.
Why do you think that is? Just out of interest. I mean, she was a big pop name for not for long, but for when she first came out, she was a big pop name.
Yeah, I think going from being very popular in pop and then slowly, starting to release R&B music, I think it's you have also she's like 10 years older, you have a totally different audience. The people who once knew you, who you were, might be doing like completely different things. I think the change of genre and the gap like of time is the main reason. I don't think people know even that she's back. A lot of even people who I hang around with don't really know that she's still releasing music. So
don't you think we have that kind of funny relationship with artists, though, especially if we see them in a particular light, in a particular genre when they first come out? We kind of love them for that, and then when they start to do stuff that doesn't fit into that box, we kind of lose them. But hope is out there, Jojo.
Yeah.
They can come back. I mean, a great example this last year, or basically 2023, I would say, the best example of that would have been Rick Astley, right? He was part of, the hit producing team. Everybody knew his one big song, right? Never Gonna Give You Up. Everybody, right? He's obviously in his own right a talented musician. He plays guitar, he plays drums, he's multi-instrumentalist, he writes his own material, etc. And probably loads of people out there wouldn't have known that. They would have seen him as that kind of pop star that had this mass-produced material with this couple of big hits. But he all the time he was producing his own stuff. But for some reason, and obviously I think it was cemented when his Glastonbury performance, where he blew everybody out of the water, and and it was helped by the fact that he kept turning up with the Blossoms and doing Smith's covers and cool stuff as well. But for some reason, he suddenly melted his way back in the hearts of people, and suddenly it's like, actually, Rick Astley's quite cool.
Yeah.
And I just think sometimes we just don't give artists that time to mature, or we're unfair about it.
Yeah.
But it could be JoJo's time at some point.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, she's doing like Broadway now, so I don't know if she's totally changed again. Who knows?
Oh, would you ever do Broadway? I mean, you say you're a musical.
I would love to.
Yeah. What role?
Yeah.
What role?
What would be my favorite? Alphaba, probably. Wicked.
You can't beat playing a baddie, can you? Really?
No, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, no one wants to be Annie, or
No, it's fun when you get to play someone who's like completely different from yourself.
Yeah.
And just act out your inner little baddie.
I think if I was ever to do it, Mrs. Trunchbull, the baddie in Yeah. Matilda, I think that'd be great. I'd love to. Living with 5 kids of my own, occasionally you'd love to pick them up by their hair and throw them. No, I'm joking, but oh, now your music delves into sort of universal struggles. So how do you navigate sort of incorporating personal experiences into your lyrics, but making it relatable to a broader audience?
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things, like, it's a hard question because I feel like most experiences are universal, like they're relatable. It's just more about the actual songwriting in itself. Um, so I'd maybe say, like, trying to not go into too much personal detail, like maybe names or like very specific details. But then again, like some artists have done songs about literally the title of the song is the name of the person, you know? So
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So I think it really depends. I mean, I did study music at uni, and we did learn like different ways of phrasing a sentence so that it would not be so specific to me. But again, it's not something I think like very much about. And also, I haven't really been a songwriter for that long, so I might still make some mistakes.
In terms of the production of your music,
Mm.
who do you work with on that? Is it, and are you working with producers?
Yeah. So I'm not a producer, unfortunately. Um,
Well, you are. You produce music, but you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. Just not very good with all the technical
the
things.
knobs and whistles, as they call them. Yeah,
Exactly. So yeah, I always work with a producer. Usually, once I've, finished the structure, the lyrics, and have like a good idea of what I want it to sound like. And then usually I do like reference playlists of different songs that I like the sound of. It might even be just the BVs in one song that I really like, and I want to add that into my song. But
that's
yeah,
backing vocals for anyone that doesn't
yeah,
understand
sorry.
the lingo. No, it's all right. It's just that we may have someone that's listening and they go, "What's a BV?" So
Yeah.
just in case, that's backing vocals. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do also find that references really help, especially because I'm not really good at production, so I might not get those ideas unless I hear it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah, are most of your songs written from a sort of top line point of view to downwards, or are you writing from
So,
a beat first?
it depends.
Yeah.
I don't have, like, a set way of, like, how I write songs. Sometimes I'll just think of a lyric I really like, and I'll write it down on my phone. I'll have, like, a whole page of lyrics, and then I go home, do some chords on the keyboard. That's as much as I can do on the keyboard. And then I try and find a melody to put the lyrics on top of that. But I also do top lining, or do the chords first. It really depends. Like whatever comes to me first is what I start with.
Yeah. A lot of young songwriters seem to be quite structured in the way that they write and
Mm.
quite process orientated. Do you ever jam? Do you ever just like, somebody starts something, puts a beat down or whatever, and you just like go with it? And
Yeah, definitely. I think that is the easiest way for me to find good melodies.
yeah,
Not necessarily lyrics, but definitely with melodies, I find it easiest to have, um, a track going or someone playing a beat and then adding on top. But yeah, it all depends on what comes
that's what
first.
we used to spend hours doing that.
Yeah.
Hours and hours and hours. We used to spend that like in a rehearsal studio. We'd literally spend hours with someone would, do a beat on the drums. You'd have the bass going on, boom, 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 boom,
Mm.
boom, and then you'd be like just making stuff happen over the top, and within that somewhere you'd go, oh, that bit's good. Let's work on that bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some musicians take it to the extreme, right? I mean, some of the bands I listen to, like, will spend 4 years just jamming, and then
Really?
and then have a producer in the background who will then just listen to all of those little jams and say, well, we can take that little bit and that little bit and that little bit and put that together, and that's the song.
Wow, that's so cool.
It is cool. I
But
mean,
what band is this? You might have to check out their music.
yeah. Well, probably the best example of a band that worked like that is Marillion.
Marillion.
Yeah, Mariillon.
Hmm.
It's just yeah. They tend to work with the same producer now and have done for years, and that he literally is like the extra member of the band, just compiling these little sound notes and putting it together.
That's so cool.
It's a great way to
Mm.
write, if you can afford to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Especially the rest of the time, they play live to make the money to do it.
Mm.
What about playing live for you? Is doing your music live, is that a really important part of music for you?
I mean, I hope it will be. I've done one like big performance.
Cool. Where was that?
It was in Norway, actually. It was during Christmas. It was like 500 in the audience, which
Nice.
I'm really happy with, because it was my first performance as Shy FLW. But at the moment, I do want to focus more on gaining a following, people who know who I am, and then I want to put more of my effort into doing gigs and having somewhere they can go to connect with my music, basically.
Yeah.
But it's mostly because of I need to write the songs, I need to have them produced, I need to have the promo material, blah blah blah. And at the moment, I'm focusing on getting as much of that done first, and then I can kind of
is it a bit chicken and egg, though? Is it for you? Is it a little bit chicken and egg, though? Because if you're out there and you're in front of audiences, even if it's like just the odd song, then that's a great way to build an audience, because that I think there's more of that these days. I was looking on Instagram over the weekend, and I saw another artist that'd been on here previously. Darla Jade is going out soon in London with several different artists, and so they're probably only doing like mini sets each. But and they're all quite poppy, and you just think, well, that's actually, as an experience, that's quite a good evening out, because you're getting to hear like lots of different artists, just little sound bits from each. But it probably builds a great audience for all of them,
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that at all. I just think you have such a wide reach on social media, and I'm already seeing in my streams and everything, I'm already seeing kind of how that's growing quite good and fast, and just how I want it to.
Slow but steady wins the race.
Yeah. So I feel like it's working for now, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to go out and gig. I want to finish these things that I'm doing now and have a good set of songs.
I totally understand that.
Totally
understand that. Is there a big goal for 2024? Is there like, I want to get my song played on here, I want to be part of this, or whatever? I mean, for a lot of artists that have been on, it's been like BBC introducing, or being the sound of the month with BBC introducing, or played on Radio 1. Are any of those things like on the tick list for
definitely. I only just this week got played, this is in Norway, on one of the like biggest radio stations, and they have kept
How
playing
surreal
it.
was that? How surreal was it?
It was crazy, and they were playing it with like Dua Lipa, James Bay, all of these artists, and that's already a box ticked, But I also want to grow in the UK. That's why I'm here. It's so much easier to grow in Norway. It's such a small country. Everyone knows everyone. It's not as hard as over here. But I do think that the R&B scene is just much bigger here. So I definitely want to reach out to more people here, BBC introducing, definitely Radio 1. I do want to reach minimum 100 streams. That's like one of my main goals. And I also want to have a feature with like one of the artists that really inspire me. Like not done, but in the making.
Cool.
I think you
Cool.
need to aim high, because the higher you aim, the more you work, the closer you'll get.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people talk about manifestation these days and making it happen. Do you believe in that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I manifest every day.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there a particular trick to it, or you know, do you have to make yourself the right drink first before you start you know, all of these things are important, right?
Yeah. For me, I always do my gratitude first to remember everything I'm grateful for before I start thinking about what else I want. And for me, it's more about reminding myself about where I want to be, and not so much that I think the universe is going to fix it for me, you know? But every day I write down what I want this day to look like at the end of it. And yeah, it just helps me remember where I want to be, and just being positive, I think, and keep thinking positive. And yeah.
Well, back when I was a boy, we didn't have manifestation, unfortunately, but we had ambition. And I, you know, to some extent, I think it's the same thing. I think, you know, we used to say, if you dare to dream big, then it will happen. You know, it's the same sort of thing. You know, each generation gives it a slightly different name, but
Yeah.
ultimately, if you don't aim for it, it's never going to happen. And it might take. The other thing is, it might take years.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter. You should still keep that ambition or that dream alive, because
Yeah.
it can definitely happen. Had an artist on here the other day. It's taken 30 years, but they're there now.
Yeah.
How cool is that, actually, to keep that dream alive for 30 odd years in your life, and actually it's suddenly happened? I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. And also, when you get to that point, you realize that the journey was like the most fun part of all of it. So
The journey
that's
is
also,
always the important part of it.
yeah.
What you
So it's
learn along the journey that counts.
Yeah.
Listen, it's been a pleasure having you in. That was painless, wasn't it? You see,
That was amazing. Thank you so
there
much.
you go. Thank you so much, Shy, for coming on and talking to us. If people haven't sort of connected with you yet, or found out about your music, you have your own website, which is great, which is just a great place to find you on all of the different platforms.
Yeah.
So the website address is
shyflow.com.
That's easy, isn't it?
It's shy, and then the thing that I don't know what you call.
Just hyphen.
Yeah.
Shy-flow.com.
Yes.
You can go there today, and it's really easy. Just click on it, you'll find it breezy. There you go.
See, you should be on Broadway.
Well, there you go. So go check out Shy's website. Please do connect with her on the social medias. Talk to her, because you know, she's a nice person. She won't shy away from you. And if you enjoy her music, please just let her know, because that's the really important thing. And we wish you all the best over the coming year. Look forward to you hearing you on UK radio.
Thank you so much.
Radio 1 before you know it.
Yeah.
And you know, and look out for your continued success. Everybody, this has been Shy FLW. I'll be back with more of my music soon. If you've enjoyed this, please do share it with your friends and family and everybody else, and keep listening to some new music, supporting real musicians out there. Until next time, bye for now.